What is up, everybody? Welcome back. I hope you're all having a good day, morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching this. Thank you all for tuning in, and we are here with our first Star Wars video of the new year. Welcome back, Jared. As always, I've got my lead Star Wars guy, Jared Silverman, here to talk some Star Wars with us. I know it's been a while since we've gone to you. It's been since the end of the Ahsoka series, so I think that was like October or something. So it's been a couple months, but we're finally back here to kick off the new year with our second annual, basically our yearly recap, and then also looking forward to the year that we've got ahead. So we had a great year in 2023, a lot of big projects, big names. These were like headline, title fights. These were the big guns that they brought us in 2023. 2024, when we look at it, we've got more quantity and we've got something every few months. Not as much heavy hitters, really. No huge name that jumps off the screen to you. No huge no huge big project with a huge character that we all been waiting years for. But nonetheless, a lot of good stuff last year, a lot of good stuff coming forward. Jared, thank you so much for coming on. We are here to talk to you about it today, and let's just get straight into it, really, Jared. I mean, let's just hop straight into this 2023 recap. So first off, we got season 2 of a show that I know that you personally love, and that was
Oh,
Bad
yeah.
Batch. Do you take us through what Bad Batch was like for you, and kind of recap it for us, and just what your thoughts were on it, and how we got our year started off last year?
See, for me, the Bad Batch is the perfect continuation of the Clone Wars. Tales of the Jedi is great. We'll get into that later when we start talking about predictions for 2024 and everything.
Yeah,
But this is just the perfect stepping off point for a show that a lot of people consider fantastic, right? I mean, we have a show called The Clone Wars, and you got a lot of the clones. Now you're just getting the clones,
yeah.
nothing else. Clones, clones, clones. We asked for it, they gave it to us. And I don't really have a problem with this show because a lot of people were worried about how Order 66 was going to be addressed. Maybe it was going to be some kind of show about them monkeying about before 66. No, they don't shy away from that at all. We're living in a post 66 world. What are the clones doing? And we're seeing them being phased out, all these interesting things. Then in this season, there's new dilemmas brought up, such as Commander Cody potentially deserting. I'm sure we're going to get a lot of that. We got that amazing, amazing episode with Doom. That was just awesome. Or was it Mayday? It was Mayday.
Yeah,
Yeah, with the
I
head
don't really
wrap.
remember. The one that I remember standing out to me was the one that you just alluded to with
Yeah,
Cody. During that episode, just blew my mind. I was so amazed by it. I remember
completely caught us by surprise.
caught by surprise, but it was amazing. Him and Crosshair. That episode
Yeah.
was my favorite by far.
So Crosshair got a lot of really, really fun moments in this season, like with Mayday on that deserted planet, and then with Cody seeing how, you know, Cody's going to potentially, well, did defect, but maybe what's going to happen with that in a later season. We got some awesome content with, you know, the rest of the gang. A shocking finale with I'm pretty sure it's the death of Tech.
Is it
I'm
though?
hoping
Are we
they're bold
sure?
enough to do it.
Are we sure they're not gonna? I think they're gonna bring him back. That's
I
my
really,
prediction, though.
I
We'll
hope they
talk
don't,
about it more when we get to
because
the next year, the next season prediction.
I hope they just leave him. I thought that was a really, really shocking and interesting point to end his character, and we got some nice resolution with him too. Because, in my opinion, the Bad Batch is the episodic format that The Mandalorian has kind of struggled with in the most recent season, perfected. Because even in episodes where things don't feel like they're happening, like they got stuck in a cave for an episode, then lost their ship, and that was like a two-parter, I believe. But even when they were stuck in a cave, you were still getting some really interesting content. You were learning new things about, in this case, Tech, who I kind of felt was a little underbaked because, he just kind of had the gimmick of, one track mind, kind of thinking of things in literal terms only. And then, you get some nice chit chat with Omega. I thought that was nice, kind of humanized him a little bit. And the rest of the batch was pretty cool, as always. I mean, I'm never going to complain about Wrecker because he's one note, but like, he has a little more to work with just because he's a comic relief character. So he can kind of bounce off anybody. Overall, though, I mean, I thought it was a great season. I thought it was really cool how they actually planned to settle down on a place for a little bit. I always think it's cool when characters make that decision. Didn't commit to it, but I mean, they had shit to do. They couldn't. And then, man, that greasy, well, I don't remember the guy's name, but the doctor guy,
Oh, I know
man,
who you're talking about. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
I'm blanking on the name too, but he's gonna I think he's gonna
been
play
a
a
long
key
year.
role in the upcoming season, but he's
Yeah,
been a character to watch.
that was, I thought he was incredibly interesting,
Hmm.
just him slinking around, doing nasty shit, you know, plotting and scheming. So I'm looking forward to see, you know, what that's going to be all about in season 3 because we don't know the fate of any of these characters. We don't know what happens. So what do you think, Sam?
Yeah, I feel like we kind of agree on most of the points here. I think it was overall, when it comes to, it's weird. The gap between the quality of the animated content that we get from Star Wars and the live action content, I'm struggling to understand the difference. It doesn't feel like a casting issue because the actors aren't too different. If they don't make too much of a difference, is it how much of a production gap is going on between these two that every animated piece we get outside of maybe Visions is hitting? It's good. It's all quality. Bad Batch, Tales of the Jedi, Clone Wars, Season 7, everything we get from Disney that's animated, and I probably left out some stuff. Everything that we get that's animated has proven to be high quality, high content stuff. And then it just seems to drop off when we get to the live action. And I'm wondering what the main difference is in those two and why the drop off in the quality of the content is so big. But as it pertains to Bad Batch season 2 in general, I agree. I think they make each episode worth something, no matter how filler it may seem. I think it all provides something. They develop all the characters really nicely. There's no character I feel like just doesn't belong, and they're just dragging for the sake of having someone in there. I really don't feel that way about anybody. I feel like everyone has a part to play. They've developed everyone really well. I thought seeing Sid turn from this good character that we thought was going to be with them till the end, seeing her turn into this slimy, you know, money hungry, just willing to turn you in a second. Seeing her turn into that, I think, was really interesting and something that maybe I suspected in the back of my mind. And if we dug through our old tapes, maybe I predicted it or you predicted it there. But to see it come to reality was surprising for me, honestly. And you're right, it's very episodic and there's just not a lot of filler. Even when, like you said, they're in the mines, everyone is providing something. Each episode is providing something to the main plot. And I think the show this season in particular does a beautiful job of setting them up to end, right? It sets up this last season to be what it is, and that's a finale season where it can just leave us with no questions. It can just leave us with closure on so many character arcs, and I think that's great. And best of all, I love that this show has a purpose overall, right? It has something to explain. It has a niche, and that is showing us how the clones got phased out after Order 66 prior to the Empire. And I think that's a super underrated aspect of these shows, that every show that we come on here and rave about, that's the thing that they have in common, is that they serve a purpose, they fill a niche, they give us something, they give us information that we didn't previously have televised, because maybe it was in a book, but televised, right? Look at Tales of the Jedi. That gives us backstory on people that we hadn't really had their character arcs when they played a major role in the saga.
At least
Now
in
Tales of the
canon.
Jedi came in and provided us with backstories on Count Dooku and Ahsoka, and provided us with backstories on two people who played critical roles in the saga one way or another that we didn't previously have, and I greatly appreciated that. Like I just said with Bad Batch, serves a niche. Everything Clone Wars serves a niche, provides us what it was like between 2 and 3, and shows us Anakin's gradual turn. Have you thought about that at all? How these shows that we rave about always serve a niche, and these new shows that we have issues with are just kind of content that's pushed out to promote a character that, in Baby Yoda's case, as much as I personally like him, his purpose is to drive merch sales for Disney, right? We don't know what purpose he provides Mando. We don't know where he falls in the saga because he doesn't really fall in the main saga. He's post Skywalker era. So you notice that with the live action shows versus the animated shows. Is that something that's ever crossed your mind?
Yeah, so you bring up an interesting point. I mean, I feel like with Bad Batch, it does explore. It's something that we want because it's
It's
something
a
that
huge niche that
logistically it
we
doesn't
really wanted to see.
exactly. Because in the actual canon, logistically, how do they rationalize it? Because you're going through with one group of people, the clones, shown to be lethal, shown to be extremely useful, rigid, organized, you can pump them out in a flash. How do you rationalize going from that to another group that, as we like to, always make jokes about, is just less effective? You
Right.
know, why do you do that? What is I guess the politics behind it versus with the Mandalorian and Ahsoka and the kind of universe that they're building, it doesn't feel like it's so much to fill a gap that we really want answered. It's more like to justify shit that we don't like, you know? Because
It's
while
filling
I'm
holes instead. It's filling like gaping wounds instead
yeah,
of just explaining stuff that we didn't know. You know, it's
yeah,
there's a different. It's hard to word, but there is a major difference between what the two things do.
because yeah, I mean, some people I'm sure like I mean, we're kind of interested just because we're gonna hork down anything that Disney, pumps out because we're fucking Star Wars shows. But I mean, while we're interested to see all this stuff because, oh, how did Palpatine somehow come back and where did the First Order spawn from, and all that kind of stuff. And like, I mean, I guess they're using Baby Yoda to explain away Snoke, and now you have
Kinda,
like
but like we
Gideon
haven't even
clones.
gotten closure on that, and we're already,
Right.
not nearing the end of the Mandoverse, but we're progressing along. We're pretty far into it to not
Yeah.
have any answers on what happened with it.
But it is just a very unusual way to go about justifying a trilogy that we're not really big on versus using Star Wars media to justify, I guess, things that don't. It's kind of weird because it feels like they do the same thing just in I don't know. One's a softer way where it's like, oh, I wonder how that happened,
Mhm.
versus one is you need to explain this because we don't like it, you know?
Yeah, and I think right. Maybe public perception is a key
Yeah,
factor between the two. It could be, honestly, because I don't know really if that's the only difference I can think of because you are really doing the same thing. You're just explaining why this happened because we didn't get an on-screen answer. But maybe it's just one of them goes about it in such a different way, or one of them is explaining something that makes sense, and one I don't know. I'm honestly not sure, but
right. Because it's hard to generate
yeah,
like a lot of support, a lot of like burning passion for people trying to find something out when you know what happens later is something that you're not really into, you
yeah,
know? Because like if they were kind of building up to this, like, oh, like imagine a world where the sequels don't exist and we get Mandalorian, we get Ahsoka, we're seeing these new characters, old characters building up to something, and then we get those movies. See, that'd be kind of
yeah. Of
crazy,
course,
right?
because you're
And
playing
then if we don't
offense.
like
You're not
them,
playing
then
defense, where you're just
yeah,
catching up mistakes that you made and explaining it to us.
yeah,
What is it now? Been almost 10 years since the first movie came out,
right.
which is crazy, but
That
that's what it is.
that is crazy.
Yeah,
I still
but
remember seeing like Kylo Ren's shuttle on Lego store
and
shelves.
you bring up Kylo Ren. I see Adam Driver on these clips
Yeah,
and movies recently. He was amazing in these sequels. He carried that thing on his back.
by far
I
the best
loved
character.
Kylo Ren as a character, and I loved Adam Driver's acting. But not to get too off topic, I do kind of want to just group Mando and Ahsoka together, really, just so we can move on to 2024. It kind of falls in line with a bunch of stuff that we've just been talking about now these past few minutes, with just not being very episodic, and and we've talked about Mando in depth here a lot. So why don't you just kind of give us your thoughts on what Ahsoka was? Because that's the one that, even though we did just do it recently, we never really did our full end of season recap.
Yeah.
So I do kind of want to hear just your overall thoughts briefly before we move into 2024.
So th- it's kind of a weird thing because I don't know. I mean, it's not as episodic as Mandalorian. This one had a full narrative that they tried, pushing,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Which went well for a while, honestly. I thought it did. It's really stalled out at the worst time that it could have.
I wasn't really a fan of the beginning. I was kind of a fan in the middle, and I think the strongest point for me was the end. You
And I
know,
like the
um,
concept as a whole. I thought it was
yeah, I
a
mean, it
good
was
overall
fairly interesting,
concept. Like in theory, it sounded good.
but I mean, there are a lot of unanswered questions that we get
Hmm.
towards the end,
Yeah,
but
exactly. That's my
those aren't my main problems. Like, where was Zeb? I'm sure we'll get answered at some point. I guess we won't, or maybe we will get answers for what Balin and Shin were up to.
We haven't
You
heard
know,
anything about a recasting or anything. Rest in peace,
yeah,
Ray Stevenson.
yeah, that is a terrible passing that
That is.
is unfortunately going to have to be worked around somehow. And I'm just praying to God they don't go with the Grand Moff Tarkin and or Princess Leia route where they just digitize the face
Yeah,
and
that
use
would
computer
just
effects to do it
yeah.
because that's just I'm not a fan of the whole zombie actor thing, man. That's kind
Yeah,
of
I don't
messed
I
up.
can't really say as much as I, love the character, I can't say that's the route that I wish they were
Yeah,
going.
but aside from those negative unanswered questions, we have some good ones. Like, what's Ezra gonna do now that he's back? How is Ahsoka gonna make it back? And also, what is Admiral Thrawn going to do that is going to tie in with this Imperial conspiracy thing? Now, some of the problems I had is A, you can only make the New Republic look really stupid for so long before it just kind of gets extremely like grating,
For
and
me,
not
I
in
think
like
it
a
already has gotten old and how
yeah,
far they've gone
it's
to make
like
them like
you
that.
have to make up more and more reasons for them to be dumb when I don't know. I'm sure there's a better way to do it than just making them look like a bunch of butt monkeys because it's just you can write it better. I know you can.
And it would be cooler if you made it more Thrawn's prowess
Yeah,
instead of the Republic's idiocracy, right? Because like I don't know. I mean, are you telling me that the regime change from what the Republic was, in canon, what would it be, about 30 years roughly? 25, 30 years difference
yeah,
between Revenge of the Sith and where we are now. You're telling me that in those 30 years, people have just completely fallen off the face of the earth in terms of IQ and any basic competency.
yeah.
I mean, they make it hard to believe. I wish you just made the New Republic smart, but Thrawn is just that much smarter and undermining everything.
Because that would have I mean, not only would that have made the entire show's writing a lot tighter, and you wouldn't have these big problems where you're bitching about, the New Republic being a bunch of jackasses,
Yeah.
but on top of that, you would also have Thrawn, with good writing. I'm not saying he was bad. I actually thought he was one of the highlights of the show.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
you would have him
But I thought they
under,
dumbed him down a little even then.
yeah, you would have him just undermining every decision that the New Republic makes, just always being a
Hmm.
step ahead, making him even, worse to go up against because they're going to have to do something. I mean, he's not in
Hmm.
the sequel trilogy, right?
When
So
when
I'm
do you
just
think we see
assuming
him next? Like I look at the slate for 2024 and maybe Skeleton Crew because I don't have an exact placement of when they take place or what their role is really. That's gonna be an interesting show to kind of see
I'm
like what
hoping that
is the
Skeleton
point
Crew
of
is
it.
detached from everything and it's like a standalone, just
Which
kind of
I
let's
do
forget
think is
about
the
everything
direction
else.
that is going in
Yeah,
if I had to pin like a guess on it. But when I look at the slate for this year, it's just those no, it's four, sorry. There's four shows, but none of them really have to do at this time period.
yeah.
So I'm a little confused when we would even get an update on Thrawn before. Is it the Mando movie? Is that the next time we're hearing about it? So that all is kind of
I'm
out of
thinking the
whack
Mando
for me.
movie is going to tie up the whole Moff Gideon
But
stuff.
remember,
We'll
the
get to that
Mando
later, though.
movie is totally different from the whole
Yeah,
multiverse madness thing that Filoni is playing. So it's a lot coming, and I don't think a lot of it is next year. A lot of it seems really 2025, 2026.
we'll get to that,
But
though.
before we move into 2024, because we got to deal with that first. I just gotta ask you one more thing. Are you excited for an Ahsoka season two? Like, did Ahsoka season one leave you in a position where you can say that you're actually even looking forward to a season two, or did it end on a sour note?
While the ending itself wasn't really like the problem for me, I actually thought that was probably one of the best parts of the Ahsoka series. I just feel like in general the writing is just bland. I mean, I didn't really like Ahsoka that much, because you go from like the plucky kid, and then she matures, leaves the Order. Then from that point on in the timeline, she's just generic Jedi chick, and I feel like that's kind of a
I don't
disservice to
know.
her.
I gotta say, I honestly kind of disagree. I thought when you see her pick up in Rebels, and it turns to this thing because it's from Legends. It's the Ahsoka the White, the whole monk-ish vibe that they were going for. I feel like her character from Rebels carried over really well. I didn't actually honestly have a problem. I thought she was pretty cool. Her character from Rebels carried over pretty well. I thought Rosario Dawson did, a really good job. There were some moments where maybe I would have liked to see her a little more agile with the fighting, but I'm just like, I'm just picking things here at that point. Yeah, I didn't really have a huge problem with Ahsoka. It felt like it was on brand with what we've seen, from Rebels on and from even from Clone Wars season 7 on.
Yeah, she was a little colder in season 7, but
Yeah,
I still felt like she kind of had like a little bit of that, like she was kind of a smartass,
maybe,
Like
maybe,
she was
yeah.
talking a little bit of shit to Maul,
Maul.
you know, your vision is flawed, that kind of shit. And I don't really feel like we get any of that, I feel like it wouldn't be that hard for her to just like call someone a bitch or something, just throw that in there, have her, because that's what she does.
I
That's
guess,
what she
yeah.
always did. And that was one of the things I liked about her. And it just feels like she's written a lot more flat. She plays it straight. And I feel like a lot of her writing with Sabine is just really piss poor. It's, oh, how do we generate conflict between these two? Oh, let's make them have really, really basic, disagreements over stupid shit that could be easily mediated with half of a conversation. You know, they argue
Yeah.
on the ship. Ahsoka says, "Hey, don't take this." Then for like no reason, Sabine just takes it. It's like, yeah, okay, you're gonna open it, but
Right,
you could have just
I
done it on the
hated that.
ship,
I
and then
definitely
that
hated that.
that immediately leads to another one of my problems is people surviving injuries that they probably shouldn't survive. She gets a hole through her stomach with a lightsaber. Do you have any idea what that would do to you if you had a hole this
The the
round?
classic the classic, you know, lightsaber to the gut.
Yeah, classic. If Qui-Gon couldn't survive it, I don't think Sabine could either. But hey, that's just me
Yeah.
bitching
That's
about
just where we're at right now,
stuff I've
honestly,
already
but,
bitched about.
with all that being said, 2023 overall, definitely a solid year. I'm not gonna say it was a bad year by any stretch with 3 big projects, with 3 you think it was a bad year overall?
I don't think it was the best. I
I'm not
think
thinking it was the best, but to say
if I
it
had to
was better
rate
than
it, I mean,
2022, I can tell you that.
no comment.
Okay, so in 2022, we had Kenobi, Andor Season 1, Bad Batch Season 1. Was that? No, Bad Batch
I
Season
think
1
that
might have
was
been. That was
21.
earlier. I think that was earlier. So, we had Kenobi Season 1, Andor,
Yeah, that was
and
21.
Tales of the Jedi. I know we for sure had those 3. Maybe Book of Boba. No, Boba Fett also 21. So we had those 3 for sure. You're telling me 2023 was worse than that lineup?
I mean, between what was the three? I mean, Kenobi was pretty bad.
Kenobi was horrible in my
Uh,
opinion.
Kenobi was I'm a
Tales of
mess.
the Jedi was
Tales of the Jedi
good.
was pretty good. I was a
Andor,
big fan of that. And Andor
it was
is
okay.
probably some of the best
It
live
was all
action
right.
we've got. I mean,
It's the best. Yeah, man, but I'm tired of people overhyping it because they're just like, it's just I'm sick of the overhype, and everyone knows what it's for. They're just going crazy because we went
yeah.
10 episodes of politics and no lightsabers. Okay, it was the most boring shit I've ever seen. I get it. It
I
was
think that's a
quality.
pretty cool thing to get at this point in the timeline.
Don't get me wrong. It was cool, but to go 10 episodes with not even a
Yeah.
climax in your respective
Yeah. Well, but
plot
it's
line.
a difficult thing because we know what happens to Andor. I don't know. I've always found
But I
prequels like
also
that
hate
kind
that
of
that is the
challenging.
show that got 12 episodes and nothing else got. Everything else is 6 and 8.
Well, I mean, if we're looking at what we've got that is 6 and 8, it doesn't need to be 6 and 8 because you got
But for
Kenobi
Mando,
that's
I can argue
6.
that it should have been more than 6 and 8 because this just led to everything getting compressed.
I don't think so. I think with Mando, the problem was that they just misused their time completely,
I think Ahsoka
and
definitely should have been
the
more than
writing
8.
was also just not good
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
for both of
I
them.
don't know.
You know,
I think saying that 2023 was worse than 2022 is blasphemous because of how bad Kenobi was.
it's pretty close. I mean, Kenobi was
And let's just say the two bad batches
something.
cancel each other out. Because me personally, I would take season 2
But just
last
cancel
year.
each other out.
My bad. I
No,
already
it's
tripping. They
funny. I
weren't even.
like
That wasn't
that.
even 2022.
Yeah,
Anyway, throw that out. I mean, you have Tales of the Jedi, really good. Okay, that wins. But if you're telling me that Andor and Kenobi was better than Mando season 3 Ahsoka, I can't get behind you on that. I just can't.
I
Ahsoka,
don't
I
know.
really liked it. I thought it was good. I was really excited for it. I waited a long time. So
I
I
just
don't
feel
know.
like the problem with Mando and Ahsoka is that it's just two mediocre properties that we all know could have been great. And that's
I guess
disappointing. With Kenobi, that's
Kenobi's
just
the
its own
worst because we were
thing.
expecting it to be legendary and we got dog
Yeah.
shit.
But I mean, you're sitting there looking at Mando, just watching them piss away runtime on fucking Jack Black and Lizzo
That was
and
so
like
bad.
the boring ass droid episode, but like
Yeah, I
that
don't
could have
know.
been
It's
so much
really
better.
close, but
Yeah.
Kenobi in
But
itself is for me enough reason to say no. But
yeah,
anyways, I hope 2024 is better than those two. It really has potential to when I read the names,
it
and I'm
does.
not like, I don't want to say I'm coping like by saying that because it's a
I don't
possibility.
know. It is. I mean, when you have moments like Bo-Katan getting the Darksaber on a technicality, you
That
kind
was
of just have
horrible.
to just sit back for a minute and assess, do I actually like this or am I high?
But 2024 I think is definitely promising. I'm really excited for Acolyte. I gotta say it's the one thing I think I'm really excited for because we talked so much about this niche stuff a few minutes ago, and for what it's worth, I do think the era before um episode one is a niche. You know, I mean, we when we think of that, we think of Old Republic, and this isn't quite there, but this is High Republic, and that is the next best thing. So I'm certainly optimistic about it. I think like the actors and the plot all look cool in the trailer that got leaked. Had no issues with it. Um, it looks like it's like a karate inspired kind of thing, like an ancient martial arts, Japanese stuff. I'm cool with it. Everything looked good. Everything has looked promising.
I mean,
The
if it's
acolyte
anything
looked
like that
cool.
one Star Wars Visions episode that everybody liked
Yeah,
with
yeah,
the
yeah.
Dark Side Katana Samurai dude,
Uh,
then
right. I think it's
I mean,
promising.
yeah.
Bad Batch season 3. Not much needs to be said about how much we personally like that show. Tales of the Jedi again. That's two animated things in the same year. Finally, that we both said how much we really like. And then Skeleton Crew, which I think has potential, but I'm not also weighing it heavily, right? So it can totally flop, and I won't really care because I don't think it tips the scales much. It's almost like a bonus, really. If it hits, awesome. If it doesn't, you can scrap it. Nobody will care, and we won't ever hear of it again. So I think you're kind of playing with house money with Skeleton Crew, and the other three all look super promising. So for the third straight year, I'm going to come into it with my hopes up that maybe this is the year that we get back on track at Disney and Star Wars. What do you think? Is there any project that stands out to you this year? And what are your overall thoughts right now?
So I think with what we're looking at, I mean, Bad Batch season 3 has potential to knock my socks off because I
Agreed.
do think season
Agreed.
2 was a step up from season 1, and season 1 was already pretty good, you know. Um, Tales of the Jedi. Well, here's something that I want to ask you. Who do
Yeah.
you think that'll be focusing on? Assuming they do the
See,
same
that's
format
big.
of
That's
six
that's big.
episodes, 3 and 3, who do you think they'd focus on? Who is
I
there to
think it's
focus
big
on?
because when we look at this, they have the potential to increase. I think if you made it like 9 episodes because you did three for each character. I think if you made it
Yeah,
nine and put one more person in there, I don't think you're getting complaints from anybody. I think as
no, of
long as
course
you're
not.
giving us, I think you're giving as long as they're putting quality people in. I think you can extend it as long as you want, and people won't really have an issue with this format. But if they pick the wrong people, that has the potential to really swing the slate of the entire year because Tales of the Jedi is supposed to be a lock, right? It's supposed to be the thing that people are really looking forward to. And if you tank that with putting in bad characters like, this is my doomsday scenario, putting in Ray and Riva as the two people that they covered, I
They
think
wouldn't do that.
I don't think they would. I think there's potential, and I don't want them to do that. I want like cool. I want like my ideal too, and it's hard because there's a lot that you can plug in. I would love to see because I don't think we're gonna see him in the Acolyte. I would love to see Yoda in maybe High Republic era. Now he has the potential to show up in Acolyte. We don't know anything about the plot, and it is in his time frame, so maybe he's there. I would love to see a Yoda pre High Republic, and then if they're probably gonna do one light, one dark. I think there's rumors of like Darth Bane being the dark one, which would be weird. But imagine like a Yoda and an Old Republic. Like they throw that in there. I think that would be really cool. You have a lot of options. So if you manage to mess up, it just makes it that much worse because of how easy you have it to do good. In terms of dark side beings, I would either like to see Palpatine pre episode one, any Old Republican person, not Republic, Old Republic person, or I mean, we saw Count Dooku, which I think was perfect. I think he was like the perfect guy to start with. I can't really think. What other dark side people do you think would fit?
My dream too would be Revan. Bring him into the
Yeah, just like
timeline.
another Old Republic person. I think that's
Yeah.
the direction you have to go if you're going dark side. Really,
But
me.
the thing is, like, the reason they picked Dooku is because he was a Jedi. I
Oh,
think they would only pick
scrap it,
somebody if
Grievous.
they're Grievous.
That's the
They
dark
wouldn't
side
do
person I
Grievous.
would like to see.
They're not doing dark side. They're doing people who were Jedi who became not Jedi, or people who were not Jedi and became Jedi. I mean, it's called
If
Tales of the
that's the
Jedi.
track that we're going, then you run
Yeah,
out of options pretty quick, and I think it limits you. But
I don't think that's that bad. My dream
how
scenario
much of
is,
those can you work with though?
I mean, if we're doing just the six,
Yeah.
3 for Revan, just jump across 3 points in his life, 3 turning points, you know, where he
Hmm.
battled with it and then decided to not be fucking evil. And then I'd love to see Mace Windu
Yeah,
because
yeah, that'd be
I
cool.
feel like
I
Mace
mean, if that's
Windu,
the strategy that we're doing, then by all
yeah,
means. I thought it was just covering cool characters who we want to know more about their backstory. We'll see what they end up doing. Literally no announcements, which is so weird because some of this stuff is supposed to be coming soon,
Yeah.
and we hear nothing. So, I don't know.
But Dooku was a great pick because we all kind of we had allusions to his
Yeah,
story, but
we
we
all
never
really
really
wanted it. It was just
yeah.
obvious.
And then for Mace Windu, I feel like he's just kind of there, you know?
Mhm.
It's so weird because he stated, "Oh yeah, that's the best duelist," you know? He was boxing it up with Palpatine, which
He
is a
beat Palpatine,
crazy
all things
thing to
considered.
do. Yeah, he had Palpatine on the window, man, and if
Right, right.
Anakin didn't pop out, that's lights, man. That's it. So I want to learn more about that guy. Maybe his path to power, because the purple lightsaber indicates that he's balancing the dark with the light.
And it means
You
he's
know?
leaning dark. I mean, or I guess he's leaning light technically. I don't
Yeah.
really know how
I
they
mean, if he
qualify, but
considers
I guess
himself
it's
a
leaning
Jedi, I'd
light.
say
Yeah.
leaning light. But I mean, that's interesting, and everybody in the council respects him, even though he has dark side. He leans into it. So
Yeah.
show us some of that. Show us how maybe like if anybody here's seen Jujutsu Kaisen, right? How Suguru Geto went down a different path, and how Gojo, how their paths kind of crossed and split after Toji Fushiguro ruined everything, right? Maybe they can do something with um, Mace Windu being a strict, you know, no nonsense Jedi, right? Then some traumatic event comes and he starts to lean into the dark. Not enough to completely give up to it, but just enough to realize there's value in this, I can learn something from this. And maybe that's what helped him become the best duelist, the strongest swordsman, Things like that would be fantastic to, see. I mean, you can do
Mhm.
that in 3 15-minute episodes, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. If
Because they
that's the route they wanna go down, then by all means.
Yeah,
I feel like I wish, or not I wish, I mean, I hope they would take a more general approach because I feel like it gives you some really cool characters to work on. If you're telling me there's a lot of fans out there that don't care to see General Grievous's backstory, I have a hard time believing that. Because a lot of us
that
know that
is
from,
one
like,
of the
Legends and
coolest
stuff.
stories in
Right,
Star
exactly.
Wars.
I don't think a single person would have an issue if you spent
And it
3
kind of paints
episodes.
the Jedis as bad guys, which frames, why some people don't like
100%.
them,
I
why
don't think
Anakin would turn
anybody
on
has
them.
an issue
That
if you
would be
wanna
a
take
very
his
interesting
route.
one.
Obviously Revan, all these Old Republic guys are great picks. If you want to put like Grievous and Revan and something like that, maybe show us a glimpse. I feel like Tales of the Jedi is just a great way of combining people's backstories with eras that we never get insight into. Like Count
Yeah,
Dooku, the I guess it was over. It was just before Episode 1, and then tied into the end of Episode 1. But it gave us insight into areas that we never got access to. And then with Ahsoka's, it wasn't as much that, but it was still, it was still giving us clarification on a character who we all love. So I mean, I don't think anybody really had an issue with that. And it was still cool. It was still cool. But I think everyone also kind of agreed that Count Dooku's was the better of the three. So for that, yeah, I'm interested to see what routes they go down and who they pick. It'll be really interesting. I'm excited for that show and hope we get more information soon. We've talked about Bad Batch and we've gone over the Acolyte a little and the Skeleton Crew. Give me what are your last thoughts on Acolyte before we kind of move into our special Lego talk?
yeah. I don't have any expectations for Acolyte because it's in a time where we don't have a whole lot of content. I don't know if we have any
Which is
I don't
good,
think
by the
we
way.
have
I
any
think that's a
canon
great thing.
content. Yeah, but they're gonna have to balance that a lot with building up that entire
Yeah.
period. I mean,
Yeah, it
The
depends how much they
Mandalorian.
want to expand on the period too, though. Because
Yeah,
I mean, as much as I doubt this would be a one-off, you are also working with 100 years. So if you kind of leave this area untouched and then pick back up a couple years down the road, I don't know how much of a difference it makes, but this should definitely serve as a foundation piece if they want to
yeah.
build in this era.
And The Mandalorian kind of had to do something similar. We're working in a time where Empire's gone, right?
Yeah,
But, you
100%.
still have like Stormtrooper helmets on a stick, Imperial remnant factions, all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. So they built up all that. They built up, free places. They built up Grief Karga, kind of working with Navarro, making it like more of a legitimate place. But one other thing they can do is since they have this 100 fucking year time span, they
Yeah.
can do something like House of the Dragon did. You watch that?
No, but I
Yeah.
do know a little bit about it.
So yeah, so pretty much
It's a
in House
prequel.
of
I
the
understand
Dragon,
that much, is that it was
yeah,
it's a prequel.
couple 100 300 years before
Yeah.
Game of Thrones, right? And across the episodes, it's not a terribly long season. I think it's like
No.
10 episodes. They jump, one family, same people, they just jump between their lives at different points.
Which is
You know?
interesting, yeah. I think that's
Yeah,
what's
you
great
can.
about having a character like Yoda too, whose lifespan is
Oh
so
yeah,
long, is that when you wanna reach back in time, he's still your connecting guy, because he's still 800 years old when this happened, right? So he's been there for ages, he's experienced. You use him as your kind of building block because you don't just wanna go 100 years ago and leave us stranded with all new characters, right? It might not go over that well, but when you give us Yoda to help tie in with all these new characters, I think it makes the transition to a new time period a little bit easier.
yeah. Now, two things on that.
Mhm.
A, I wouldn't be upset if they just left Yoda out. You know,
No,
he
I
doesn't need to
wouldn't
be
either,
there.
but it's also cool. We don't really get much of
Yeah.
him on screen, so to see
No,
him,
it's good
especially
connective
younger,
tissue.
yeah.
Yeah. But I'd like
Yeah, you're right.
if
That
he
wouldn't have
does
too big of an
come,
issue.
yeah, if he does come to the show, I'd like to see him acting a little more like, goofy,
Mhm.
because
Right,
that's
right.
why
Because
everybody liked him, because he's like a
yeah.
silly puppet man. And then in, the prequels, they turn him into this like a general. Yoda's not a
But
general.
that, I
Yoda
mean,
would never
that's
be
kind of the
commanding
point, though, is
troops in
that he
Geonosis.
became a silly, goofy man after being exiled in the middle of buttfuck nowhere for 20-something years.
Yeah, I don't know, but it just kind of felt like almost character assassination to see him taking everything so seriously the whole time, especially
Mm.
when you see him acting like a goober in the Clone Wars. You know?
Right, right, right.
In
Yeah,
the
I
Clone
think
Wars, he's
but
like
if
a silly,
anything, that makes
smiling
the
little
Clone
dude.
Wars the character assassination, because I think it makes perfect sense if you go from a lead Jedi High Master who's very serious to an older man who's living in exile with nothing to lose becomes goofy. I think that makes perfect sense. But you're right, when you put it that he was goofy in the Clone Wars, then
Yeah,
I think you start killing the character. So if anything, I
I
would
don't
direct.
think so.
I don't know.
Because
Yeah,
the way
that's
I
an
see it
interesting one.
is like, I don't know, Yoda's just so next level. He's just above most things, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously, it's still a problem, but I mean, he's just like next level. It's like a fucking level 20 wizard in D&D, and you're like a fucking like level 7 or some shit, you know? But like, he just outclasses everyone around him. He doesn't need to take anything seriously, you
I
know?
guess. Yeah.
He's just there to have fun and enjoy the Force. But I mean, when shit gets tough, I don't know. I guess he would be more serious, but it just felt like he had no personality, and that was just kind of boring to watch in the prequels.
That's an
So
interesting take.
hopefully, yeah, I'd like to see him go back to his like silly puppet guy antics, you know? Not necessarily
Yeah.
dicking around all the time, but I'd like to see him crack a joke, go every so often, you know?
Which I think you have the potential to do, because at this time I don't think there was any real interaction with Sith yet, because Darth Maul really
Yeah,
kind of reinvigorated that era. So maybe with
yeah,
a more relaxed environment, we get more potential to see him more light-hearted instead of in the war environment that we saw in the prequels.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean that kind of wraps it up for our 2024 talk. It's kind of hard because we're getting the first time we did this, it was season ones of things, right? Now we're back around with season twos and season threes. And we just kind of know what to expect, so there's not as much to deep dive into. Out of the four projects we have coming this year, which one are you most looking forward to? Would it be Bad Batch?
Um, I'd say it's Bad Batch, but that can definitely change when we find out who's going to be the stars of Tales of the Jedi.
Yeah, I
Then, I
agree. I
mean,
think that's a
that's
big
kind of a tie
determinant.
for first. Yeah, because with Bad Batch, you kind of know what I'm getting into.
Yeah,
Tales of the
we know
Jedi,
where we're
we know
at.
the
We're just so
format of what
developing
we're
it.
getting
Yeah,
into, but not necessarily who it's going to be. And then, I mean, Acolyte's next, and then Skeleton Crew. Just, I'm not upset at Skeleton Crew. I think I could have, a lot of potential to really enjoy
I
that
think
show,
it's just a
depending on,
bonus. You're playing with house money,
yeah,
right? What do you really have to lose with Skeleton Crew? Nobody's gonna be mad if
exactly.
Skeleton Crew is not that
Yeah.
good.
I mean, worst case scenario, it's just a stupid ass like little action
Like a
adventure or whatever the
spin-off, right?
fuck.
Nobody really cares.
Yeah. Best case
I think some of the
scenario,
kids are force
it's like a fun
sensitive, so
little,
but whatever.
yeah. Best case scenario, I mean, you get like a really enjoyable, like pretty good written little crime or whatever, like
Yeah,
maybe they're a
it's like a
bunch of
little
like
goofy
spice
thing,
runners,
ties the
smugglers,
fan
whatever, we
over
don't
for a
know.
little bit,
Yeah.
something casual. For
So
me,
those are my
personally, yeah,
top picks.
I agree. I think that's all, agreeable. I think Tales of the Jedi plays a big
Yeah.
part in my hopes, seeing who they pick. As of right now, though, while I don't know that information, for me personally, Acolyte's number one, because I think there's so much potential here. And I think it is really the big ticket item of 2024, is that it's something new, live action, obviously. I think it's the only live action thing, well, Skeleton Crew. So it's the only major live action thing we're
Oh,
getting this
Skeleton Crew
year.
is gonna be live action?
Yeah, yeah, it is live action.
I was gonna be animated.
No, it's live action. But yeah, Acolyte I think is the big ticket item this year. Really, I think it's got a lot of potential, so I'm excited for that. Next, you're right. I agree with you where those two things are tied. Just for me, they're tied for second. Um, I'm interested to see Tales of the Jedi. If it's good people, then definitely a second. If not, it's interchangeable for me because with Bad Batch, you said it, I know what I'm getting into, and I am excited to see the conclusion because I think it's been a really good show. But I just know what I'm getting, so I kind of know where I'm at with it, and I'm not as excited because I kind of know what I'm expecting. I think the
Right.
potential of Acolyte is what makes it so exciting for me. But yeah, those are my four. I think we've got a promising 2024 ahead, and obviously as we get through each thing, Jared, me and you will keep regrouping here to talk about it and just see where we're at throughout the year, if
Most
it's living
definitely.
up to our expectations. Before I wrap up this episode, as always, we got to give the niche fans what they come here, what they wait for, and what they deserve. Jared, will you please enlighten us with some Lego Star Wars updates?
Most definitely, guys. I mean, we've got some great stuff, you know. Never want to let you niche Lego Star Wars fans down. We know you're out there. We hear your voices, you know, and we know you probably came to the video for this, so I'm gonna let you have it, all right? We actually have some amazing content. Like, actually, some things that I just never thought would happen in Lego history, okay? But to recap on what we've got so far, I'm just going to keep it brief, talk about some of the highlights. We did get some fantastic sets. Phase 2 Cody, you know, that was actually kind of a while ago, come to think of it. But the Venator dropped, everyone. We got a beautiful Captain Rex figure. You can complain about the helmet holes all you want. Not that big of a deal to me. I understand why you're upset about it, but at the end of the day, guys, I mean, come on. You know, just put your accessories, put your stupid fucking rangefinder into Captain Rex's helmet, and get over it. We got 501st Specialist packs, 332nd, you know, we got a bunch of great stuff. I mean, it's a great time to be a Clone Wars fan, especially with the plain Phase 2 Clone Troopers pack. Sam, you're gonna like this, okay? For the first time in a very, very long time, we're getting Phase 2 battle droids back in sets with a brand new torso mold. Kept the arms, kept the legs, because they were pretty clean.
Right, yeah.
But
What are
you're
you gonna
getting,
do?
what are you gonna do? We're getting a fantastic fusion of a clone and a droid battle pack all in one. You're getting a pretty shitty speeder for the clones, pretty shitty turret for the drones, and a half decent tri droid for the droids. Then it also comes with, I believe, three regular battle droids, three B1s, and then two B2s. Now, on top of this, you're also getting three of the regular plane Phase 2s and a shock trooper. And get this, guys, I mean, for $30, you can't beat it. I already know when I go home, I'm gonna be picking up a lot of these, you know, because these are actually one of the greatest sets we've ever gotten. This, I don't want to say it blows the 501st pack out of the water, just based on sheer value for what you're getting. I think you're winning, but I mean, the 501st pack is legendary. Anyways, you know, we also got the Coruscant Guard gunship, a little overpriced.
Mhm.
That's all I'm gonna say about it, because I got a lot of thoughts. But anyways, we're gonna be jumping into 2024. 2024 is one of the most perplexing years for Lego Star Wars, if even half of these are true, okay? We're looking at the Battle of Peridea for $50, 382 pieces. Now, just based on that, you're probably not thinking it's the best price, but here's where you're kind of wrong, okay? We're getting White Outfit Ahsoka, Ezra Bridger, Grand Admiral Thrawn, Captain Enoch, and Morgan Elsbeth all in one set for $50. Now, based on the fig selection alone, I think that's kind of worth it, depending on what the build is. You know, most people probably aren't getting it for the build. I'm sure nobody really cares that much about the build, but just based on the figs, that's fantastic. Now, for the old school Lego Star Wars fans, you're gonna like this. Jedi Bob's Starfighter. Now, for those who don't know, Jedi Bob is an original Lego Star Wars character made by Lego that they threw into the gunship set, very first gunship set on Geonosis, meant to represent one of the many Jedi in the Geonosian arena. And I think this is a pretty half decent price set. 310 pieces for $40. You're getting allegedly a yellow skinned Jedi Bob. They're going back to the classic minifig yellow. Um, whether that's true or not, I can't. I don't know if Lego would do that, but I mean, based on some of the other leaks, anything is possible, man. Here's the most interesting one, okay? This is insane to me. For $170, we don't have a piece count yet. The Dark Millennium Falcon with Evil Ray, Darth Vader in a white outfit, Evil C-3PO, Evil Chewbacca, and a Gungan. Now, if that's true at all, that might actually be one of the weirdest Lego Star Wars sets that we've ever gotten. I mean, we've gotten a couple of out there sets, some legend stuff, TIE crawlers, TIE defenders. We got a couple of, we got a small Knights of the Old Republic wave. Uh, for the KOTOR fans, we got a little bit of information on the Lego front for that too, so stick around. But this is just a weird, weird set. I don't dislike it at all. I mean, having a Darth Vader in a white outfit with good printing, that'd be amazing. Who expects that, I mean, that's just something so beyond the realm of what we thought was possible. I'm almost inclined to not believe it, but when you're seeing, you know, all the people confirming this, all the people, promising this, all the people corroborating this, it's kind of like, is this actually going to come out? The other sets, nowhere near as, wild as that, but we're getting an $80 Death Star playset, which allegedly has 8 figures included. Now, that would be pretty cool. And here's the kicker for this one. Comes with a Cal Kestis figure for the 25th anniversary of LEGO Star Wars. Now, for those who don't know, we have never gotten any kind of Fallen Order stuff except for a BD1 build, which also came with a small little droid figure of him, but insanely interesting that they're only releasing this Cal Kestis and, not his own set. It's coming in a Death Star playset. I don't believe Cal went to the Death Star, did he?
I
Yeah,
don't
so
quite
that's a
think
weird
so.
choice. Um,
Maybe it's in something we haven't seen yet, but as far as
yeah,
I'm aware, he was not near the not
maybe
near the
Lego
Death
knows something
Star.
we don't.
Apparently,
Um, so this one's also pretty interesting, just because of the price, which I think is terrible. For $90 and 558 pieces, which is pretty atrocious,
yeah.
you're
Well,
getting an Escape from the Sarlacc set with Han Solo, Chewbacca, Lando, Boba Fett, Luke, and a
they
replay.
better be autographed by all those guys for that
I
price.
know, right? I mean, Jesus. And I guess what we can expect out of that is maybe the Desert Skiff and then like a buildable Sarlacc, but
It's
these
good.
are all
It's good
things.
figures, but for the
Yeah,
price plus the build, I mean, it doesn't quite seem worth it.
no, not to me, but who knows? Maybe every single piece is fucking chrome plated. Um,
Mm,
and then this is a pretty inoffensive set. I mean, I think it's pretty well priced considering, TIE fighters and X-Wings at their full size. I know we got some shrunken down versions for a lot cheaper, but I mean, I think the last full X-Wing we got was 70, $80. Same with a TIE fighter, but this is a pretty good price if it's all true. $110, 1,058 pieces, so a pretty good price per piece ratio. Remember, about a 10 cents per piece is what we're kind of looking for here. This pretty much sticks to it. We're getting an X-Wing versus a TIE fighter set. Now, we got something marginally similar. We got the Fang fighter versus, I think it was TIE Interceptor uh, for the Mandalorian not too long ago. But this one's just coming with a pretty standard array of figs for these kind of sets. X-Wing pilots, Astromechs, TIE pilots. I'm sure we're probably going to get a fucking Imperial officer in there too, because Lego just can't help themselves but put those into every half-related Imperial set. I mean, I know the TIE Bomber came with one. Um, and then lastly, we're looking at a buildable C-3PO with $150 for 1,132 pieces. Now, that's not that bad. And something to consider is that this is going to be releasing alongside a new Lego R2D2 buildable figure that I don't have the details for. But what I do have the details for is something much, much more impressive. Now, we do have pictures of these two figures. We have a 25th anniversary Fives Phase 2 Trooper figure. I gotta say, guys, I've seen it. It's been kind of controversial in the community because a lot of people have not been a fan of the head printing. I think you need to get over it, fucking man-child. And this is coming from somebody who, in the past month alone, has spent well over $500 on Legos. So I'm telling you right now, it
How
doesn't look
much of that
bad.
was 2024, so we can look for us for some other reasons?
Yeah, you're gonna be disappointed. This is all 2023 purchases, but
Ah,
um, we're looking at a fives figure. The printing's fantastic. Arm printing. How often is it that we get arm
I
printing?
like
Let
the
alone,
figure. I think it was good when
yeah,
you showed me.
let alone for a clone trooper. I mean, the only other times that I can remember us getting clone printing is on Boba Fett, which doesn't count, and on Phase 2 Rex, you know? And the Phase 2 Rex looks fantastic. Anybody who says otherwise, you need to stop watching M&R Productions, dude. Um, but the five figure's fantastic. Has a very interesting new piece. It looks like they're doing a cloth comma, which is something Lego's never done before. The only ever cloth pieces that we've had. Oh, actually, no, they did do it for an ARC
There's been
Trooper.
some for clones, yeah.
Well, they've done it for waist capes. They stopped doing it
Yeah, yeah,
recently.
that's what I was talking about.
Yeah, but
Well,
they're
they had
giving
the
us
neck ones too that you would put on.
yeah, but they only did it cloth, like never for like the dual shoulder pads, other than one
Maybe, yeah.
ARC Trooper that they made. And it's a new cut for it. It doesn't look
Gotcha.
like it bends down. It looks like it's just a straight piece that brackets on the neck. So I guess we'll have to look towards new details on that, but the figure looks fantastic. I mean, we've seen the head underneath has the five tattoo on the forehead, cool goatee, I'm a big fan. And it's all printed on the new flesh tone that we've been getting for, the more accurate to Tamara Morrison flesh tone that we've been getting a lot of recently, which just looks fantastic. I mean, I'm extremely happy with it. You can't go wrong with it. It just looks good, you know? And it's a new clone expression, it's just solid. And then the other 25th anniversary figure that we're getting that I am just completely blown away by is Darth Malik. Amazing. Amazing. Brand new neck mold for the I guess the mask. Underneath it you have like the jaw missing, like cybernetics. It's fantastic. Um and this is just a figure that I never thought we would ever get our hands on. I thought they kind of just left the Old Republic to like when was it? I mean, 2010s
Yeah,
around
yeah.
there when they last dropped those sets. But I mean, with Darth Revan, Darth Malgus, all those other characters, it's a little depressing because I actually don't have a Darth Revan, and I actually, believe it or not, don't have $400 to spend on one figure. Um, but we're getting this brand new first Knights of the Old Republic content that we've gotten from Lego in forever, you know. So, but this does beg the question. Lego knows we want these kinds of figures from these different properties, Knights of the Old Republic. We want some more like specific Clone Wars things. But honestly, I'm not going to complain about anything clone related. Lego's been doing God's work over there, man. They're treating us well. But, Knights of the Old Republic with Malik, Fallen Order with Cal Kestis. We got the one-off buildable who gives a shit droid for Cal. Where are the rest of the sets, Because that's something that I think would fly off the shelves. You have all these interesting trooper variants. You have some pretty cool characters. You have the Inquisitor that's in that. You can even throw in Darth Vader to a set if you want some face recognition for a child to pick it up, say, "Ooh, mommy, Darth Vader," toss it in the cart. But there's a lot going on there. I think that's an untapped gold mine. And then, especially with Knights of the Old Republic, if they were to release one or two new KOTOR sets with any character from there. I mean, I know Revan's the big one, but any character from that period, it's flying off the shelves. So that touches on all the Star Wars happenings for you guys. I know you're curious, but sorry we always got to put it at the end here. We just want you guys to watch it all the way through. We know this is the big ticket, so hopefully I was able to deliver this time, guys. I mean, I'm pretty happy with how this year's shaping up, and these are just the first half of the year releases. We still got a lot to look forward to that I'll be talking about later.
You definitely deliver, man. And thank you as always for coming on, Jared. With that being said, we are going to wrap up today's episode, but trust me, guys, there's plenty of Star Wars stuff coming this year. We have a whole extra series, so now we've got, in theory, one every 3 months this year. But you're right, Jared, thank you as always for coming on. We really appreciate you
Absolutely.
taking your time to be here. Happy to kick off the new year in good fashion. Guys, by the time you're seeing this is going to be the third upload this week, okay? I told you the consistency is coming. The videos are coming, and what you want to see is coming. So thank you as always for the support. I really appreciate it. We're growing here, slowly but surely, and it's thanks to your help. So remember, like the video, please subscribe and turn the notifications on, and comment down below what you want to see because we are catering to you. Okay, I've got more interviews coming out for the college football fans. We've got a UFC 290. What are we in 296? 296 preview, 297 preview, 297, sorry. UFC 297 preview coming. You've got that coming your way. NBA stuff coming soon. So it's all being catered to, I promise. Continue to show support, please, and thank you. Like, subscribe, and until next time, I'll see you soon.